Okay, so you've probably clicked on this video thinking it's some sort of weird clickbait, but if you've been following my stuff for some time now, you'd have already known that this video was coming. To preface things before I get started, this is not a very light video. I will be pretty harsh with how I explain some things at times, and I'd like to apologize in advance if I do say anything that could be particularly offensive to some people, as this is not my intention. I just want to voice my opinions on how I feel about reaching 30,000 subscribers, because it's common for YouTubers to apply for the YouTube rank at around this time. Needless to say, I'm going to split up this video into 3 parts, being some backstory on myself and my experience with Hypixel, what YouTube rank has to offer to me specifically, and my thoughts on Hypixel Skyblock as a whole. And before I get a ton of questions about it in the comments below, the gameplay that you'll be seeing in between all of the fancy graphics and images on the screen is just Windcraft gameplay. It's a game that I've been enjoying a lot recently over the past 5 to 6 months, and I felt like it was more appropriate to use Windcraft gameplay over just standard Skyblock gameplay. So, the backstory. For those that don't already know, I've been playing Minecraft since 2011 and I've loved this game ever since I started playing it. This is important because Hypixel was released in 2013, 2 years after I originally started playing. Basically, I was one of the people who was actually playing the game before Hypixel was extremely popular, and I do have a lot to say about it. Now, Mineplex on the other hand was also released in 2013, but the only difference is that it was released a little over 3 months before Hypixel, and it already had foundations in place because it was already a relatively popular server. This is due to various reasons, as it did merge with a couple of other servers at the time, and it was the biggest Minecraft server for a very long time way back in 2013 up until around 2016, and I'll go into a little bit more detail as how this is relevant to anything. Now, if you don't know me already, I'm a Mineplex player at heart. I remember playing the server day in and day out with my friends from school whenever I got the chance, and back then the server had significantly more players than Hypixel ever would. I remember playing a lot of my favorite games like Super Smash Mobs or Bridges or all the different Champions minigames, and Mineplex was actually the first server or the first online interactions that I actually had with people from other countries, and it was the first time that I actually called people on apps like Skype before Discord was even relevant. But what about Hypixel? Yeah, Hypixel and I don't really go well together, if I'm being honest. I do remember logging onto the Hypixel network way back on the 29th of November 2013, and I remember joining because one of my friends, either one of my friends from school or it might have been one of my friends from Mineplex, told me that Hypixel was this new thing and blah blah blah, and why don't we try that because they have some other mini games, and just thought, oh well, we'll just go play on there as well. Now, my first impressions of Hypixel were pretty bad because all I saw were games that I could be playing on Mineplex, but they were just weirdly implemented on this server called Hypixel. Like TNT Run was just a direct copy of the Runner minigame on Mineplex, and they also ended up releasing the Smash Heroes minigame long after Mineplex took Super Smash Mobs, which is a spin-off of Super Smash Bros., a very famous and popular Nintendo game. But either way, I always just saw Hypixel as just some weird, dodgy ripoff of Mineplex and other servers. So what am I trying to say here? Well, to keep it short, I've never really liked Hypixel. I've never enjoyed any of their minigames that they had right at their server's release, and to this day, the only thing that really keeps me playing Hypixel is Skyblock. I have played games and enjoyed minigames such as Build Battle or Murder Mystery, but even on those games, I haven't really touched them in years. And Murder Mystery, I used to play on a different server which was designed just for Murder Mystery, which was miles better than Hypixel ever was, and once again, I always see Hypixel as just some direct ripoff of other servers. If it wasn't clear already, I'm not a Hypixel player. In fact, I never really wanted to be or ever was a Hypixel player, regardless of whether I post weekly videos on the server or not. If you're really curious, in my free time, I've recently found myself playing a ton of Windcraft, which I returned to about 5 to 6 months ago, ever since I stopped playing about 6 years ago. I also do a lot of external things such as school and sports outside of my Minecraft life, and honestly, I've got my own life outside of just Skyblock. Skyblock is such a small part of my current life right now, and I really wouldn't classify it as anything that major. Now, this whole I'm not a Hypixel player attitude is one of the various reasons as to why I won't be applying for Red Name, but it certainly dives much deeper than this. This is just the background information that I want you guys to know, as now what I'm going to talk about is what YouTube rank really has to offer, and specifically how that affects me. So how does YouTube rank really affect me? Well, before I continue, what really is YouTube rank? I feel like this is something that people heavily overlook in the Hypixel community, as it's really common for people to apply for it as soon as they reach the 30,000 subscriber goal, but they don't really acknowledge what comes with it. You see, YouTube rank is more than just a fancy name and an easier way to get contraband, or privilege that disables watchdogs so you can do cool block glitches and stuff like that. YouTube rank is a position of influence. If you apply for YouTube rank, you're expected to be a role model in the community, someone that people look up to. You're expected to represent the server in a positive way in return for some extra quality of life features that, in theory, should increase the quality of your videos. And that's exactly my issue. I don't want to be a role model in the community. I don't want to apply for a position of influence on the server, and I don't particularly like it. I don't want to apply for a position of influence on a server that I don't particularly like, because the only reason that I play it is for one game and one game only. I have my own reasoning as to why I don't like the other minigames, which quite frankly isn't really the point here, but because I don't see myself as a Hypixel player, I don't want to be classified as a Hypixel player or YouTuber. Now I know what you might be thinking, why am I even playing the server at all then? If I don't like the server and I don't like the games, why would I force myself to make videos on it at all? Well, there's a few reasons for that, so let me explain. I may dislike the server as a whole, but that doesn't mean that I hate every aspect of it. Skyblock as a standalone game is still enjoyable to me, and if you take away all the Hypixel stuff and the community and everything about it, I still like playing Skyblock, and I'm not going to just not play it because it's on a server that I don't particularly like. It is a shame that the only place that I can play Hypixel Skyblock is of course on Hypixel, and that's just sort of the sacrifice that you have to pay to play a game that you want to be playing. I also don't really have any other games that I would like to be recording that isn't Hypixel Skyblock. I've had a lot of fun recording most of the videos that I've uploaded on Skyblock, and until I find a different game or different server that I want to post on instead, I may as well just stay with Skyblock. There's still plenty of different content opportunities, there's a lot to be doing on this server in general, and if the 1.0 update gets released at all anytime soon, there'll be even more stuff to be making videos on, and it's still something that I do want to be doing. And this leaves me in a really weird predicament. I'm on a server that I don't particularly like, playing a game that I enjoy recording and streaming on, but I don't really play the game outside of my content creation, yet people treat me like I'm some sort of expert who grinds the game 24/7. I'm also expected to apply for YouTube rank because that's what every other Hypixel YouTuber does, yet my audience doesn't recognize that I don't really want to be like all the other Hypixel YouTubers. And this leads me onto the third point of this video, the state of Hypixel Skyblock. I think I've made it pretty clear already that I don't want YouTube rank for some pretty valid reasoning, but this part of the video is truly what seals the deal for me. Technically speaking, I could just move on from the idea that Hypixel is just a Mineplex ripoff, or that being an influencer is just part of having YouTube rank, but the current state of Hypixel Skyblock is the ultimate reason as to why I will probably never apply for the rank at all. Now, this is the point in the video where things are going to get a lot less pretty than everything that I have already said, and I do apologize again in advance if I do say anything or have said anything that will offend anybody. I'm merely here to state my thoughts on YouTube rank and to inform those that do care. However, as you guys probably already know, Hypixel Skyblock is known to be full of crazy bugs, exploits, and other glitches. Now, I'm not saying that it's absurd that these bugs and glitches exist at all, as it's pretty much expected from any game to have some sort of glitches or bugs or errors of any kind. But what confuses me is how poorly the development team on this game manages everything. Things like sword swapping, or flight in floor 7, or backpacks being disabled for a ridiculous amount of time, and countless more bugs that took the admins months, if not years, to finally fix. And to this day, there are still more questionable exploits, more questionable bugs, and more questionable glitches that probably shouldn't belong in the game at all. Not to mention the incompetence of the dev team themselves. Like, take the introduction of Dante as an example. Hypixel changed the way that the auction and bazaar taxes worked as one of Dante's perks, but instead, they couldn't even do simple math and caused a crazy dupe glitch that could literally get you 1 trillion coins in under 5 minutes. All it took was you to buy an expensive item on the bazaar and then sell it back again, and because the taxes made no sense, you could buy a stack of hypercatalysts for like 10 million and then resell them immediately for 60 million. I don't know how this happens, but it's Hypixel and they somehow managed to pull it off. You would have really expected that a dev team of such a popular game and the #1 Minecraft server to have at least play tested a feature like this. But no, they release it to the public game and it causes a bunch of problems for a few hours until they can get it back under control. And the reason that I bring this up is because it's just so common. This has happened with so many other items. The Dante glitch is just one of the thousands of things that have happened in this game. Like recently, there was some crazy 4 trillion coin gemstone dupe, which I don't even think they did any rollbacks for and also caused a lot of havoc in the community. And quite frankly, I find it crazy that people really expected to apply for YouTube rank on a server that handles their game the way they do. Like, I don't even like Hypixel as a server as it is, and everything they currently do and the way that they just handle Skyblock and probably many other games doesn't really change my current attitudes towards it. Not only do I not like the minigames that they've released because I just see them as a copy of other servers, but I just see a dev team that doesn't care about their fan base and a dev team that is really irresponsible and doesn't even know how to manage the game. But the bugs and the exploits aren't everything that I have an issue with. The Skyblock player base in general is also just so unbearable that it makes being part of the community almost impossible. The whole vibe of the Skyblock community is just such a vile wasteland. The amount of trust issues people develop playing this game is astounding, and this server generally is one of the most unsupportable, revolting experiences that you could possibly encounter on this game. If you somehow manage to lose your items, whether it be from a wipe glitch that is of fault of the admins, you get scammed by somebody who was just untrustworthy and decided to ruin your game, or some other glitches occur where things happen to your profile, you're pretty much on your own. There is no support from the dev team in any way, shape, or form. There's no support from really anybody. People love to mock other people and to make fun of everybody. And overall, it's not a very fun experience to be playing Skyblock if you're a part of the tighter community. Like, I'm sorry, but there is absolutely no way on this planet that I will ever apply for YouTube rank if that's the community that I'm expected to represent. If I'm supposed to be a role model and somebody that people look up to, I'd much prefer to be a part of a well-respected and caring community and not one where people will bully you just because you're wearing an armor set that isn't popular. I'm not going to apply for YouTube rank if the dev team can't even handle their game properly, the staff team doesn't really care about cheaters and cheaters are absolutely everywhere, and if the general public and the people that you find just in lobbies just aren't even people you want to be talking to. It's just a waste of my time, and quite frankly, I find it pretty interesting that people really think that I would do this. It's just sad to see that a game with such incredible potential to turn into something amazing is just kept back by the incompetent dev team, by the useless staff team, or by the insufferable player base. And I'm afraid if I were ever to quit Skyblock, it would probably be for this very reason. I don't want to continue to shit on Hypixel as you've probably heard enough already, but to keep things short, I really don't like this server. I only started making videos on Hypixel Skyblock because I liked playing the Skyblock game mode, not because I wanted to become the most popular Hypixel Skyblock YouTuber there is. I don't see myself continuing on this server in the next few months or years, and YouTube rank really just has never been something that I've wanted to achieve. Now, if you have made it this far into the video, thank you for listening to everything that I've had to say. I'm fully aware that this is probably going to be a huge shock to a lot of my audience that doesn't know me outside of YouTube, and overall, a lot of people might find this surprising because everyone just goes for YouTube rank as soon as they hit 30,000 subscribers. But needless to say, these are my reasons as to why I'm not going to apply for YouTube rank. Hopefully you guys do understand this, and with all that being said, I'll see you all in the next video.